Okay, welcome to my channel, Strategies for Self-Reliance. This is also about self-sustainability. So in short, if you depend on someone else for your basic necessities like water, food, place to sleep, what else? Your basic necessities. You are not self-reliant, okay? So in the near future, it's already becoming more and more difficult to have a job, to get a job. And with technology, AI, robotics, automation, that will take away most jobs from most people. And with the worsening state of the global economy and the global financial system, it is imperative, it's becoming imperative to become self-reliant, self-sufficient. Okay. So self-reliance, let's see. Definition. Is the ability to do things and make decisions by yourself without needing other people to help you. People learned self-reliance because they had to. Okay, so what is the purpose? Why? That's the one I wanted. Okay, so self-reliance is important because it enables you to take control of your own life, being motivated from within and being able to take care of oneself. Okay. Anyway. So pretty much self-reliance, self-sufficiency is what you want so that you can resist the hard times that are coming. Okay, most people will not be prepared, and therefore they will suffer the consequences of the coming hard times. Okay, very tough times. So what do you do if you can't find a job? You can't pay rent, can't pay mortgage. What then? Do you lose your place where you stay, your home, isn't it? So what do you do? A lot of our ancestors, forefathers, the way they lived was not dependent on a lot of them, communities and so on, paying a monthly rent or paying off their mortgage and stuff like that. Farmers are self-reliant. They grow their own food. So we've become modern day society, civilization has become extremely dependent on the system, okay, and for their basic necessities. And this is actually not a good thing. This is actually not a good thing. If the system suddenly crashes, what happens to the over 7 billion people on this planet? Not good. Not good at all. So what you need to do, if you are wise and you're aware of what's approaching, what's coming, is you need to become self-reliant, self-sufficient. And that means not depending on having a job. Okay? Because if you can't have a job, what do you do? If you can't get an income, if you can't earn an income for however long, weeks, months, years, what do you do? It is not a easy question to answer. That is a difficult question, okay, to answer. But start with thinking about it. All these tribal people in the jungles who do not depend on a system at all. Let me put it in another way. The poorest people on earth will be the least affected by any crash in the system, by any financial crash, by any global recession or depression. the poorest people will be the least affected. Why? Because they are already not as reliant on the system as the rest of us. They are already a lot of them, or most of them, have no income. How do they survive? Let me go to the extreme. The hobos, the people that are living on the streets, the people that are sleeping on the streets, the people in California who are living in the tents on the sidewalk, the tent cities. Those people are less reliant on the system than all the other people who have jobs. If the system crashes, when global financial crisis, depression hits, when the dollar crashes, these people who live on the streets already will not be affected by it, or at the very least not as much as the rest of us. It's because they do not depend on a regular income to sustain themselves. Yes, they are living in very, very bad conditions, but that's their choice. There are better solutions. I'm going to give one very simple solution. It's not necessarily a solution for everyone, but just a very simple solution. You take your tent, you put it somewhere in the park or in the forest, and you live there. Or you build a small hut with free wood that you get from the forest, and you live there. If the owner of the land doesn't want to allow you to stay there for free, you build a floating platform next on a river or a lake, or on the coast, on the sea, next to the coast somewhere, and you build a floating platform and build a hut on there. Okay, there's a lot of things you can do which eliminates the need to pay a rent or a mortgage. Now, a lot of people watching this will be completely new to them. Completely. It will be like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Well, just think about this for a moment, okay? The earth wasn't created with the current system in place. The current system was created by humans. The fact that you need an income to pay for rent and mortgage was created by humans. It's not some natural law that the universe can't exist without. Okay? The properties that are not private properties belong to the government. Who's the government? Who are they? They just went and claimed land for themselves. Who gave them the permission? The earth belongs to all of us. The law was created by man. The law is not the natural law of the universe. The natural law of the universe exists whether humans exist or not. You can't do anything about the natural law of the universe. The laws of physics, the laws of nature. But the laws of man, who created the laws of man? A bunch of men. Not a bunch of women, not a bunch of men and women, a bunch of men who thought that they had that authority over the rest of us to go and impose laws onto the rest of us. Now, a lot of you will argue in favor of that, or whatever opinions you would come up with supporting those men who created those laws. And a lot of those laws suppress and oppress a lot of people. The idea is to have us all working so that we all pay taxes so that they can do tax farming. If you don't believe this, research it. At the very least, if you don't believe anything I say, just believe this. If the jobs disappear, and if you do the research, you'll realize that the jobs can disappear. If you still don't believe me, if you go to the UN website, and if you don't believe them, who do you believe? The UN is the United Nations, and very authoritative according to many of you. And on their website they talk about what's coming, the potential for a jobless future. What you're going to do depends on universal basic income. Do you think that's a good idea? I don't think so. So what are you going to do if you need an income to cover your basic necessities, but you can't earn an income? What are you going to do? How are you going to survive? Where are you going to stay? I have a lot of solutions, but which I might cover in some of my next videos. But the main thing that needs to happen is that you need to start thinking about this. What are you going to do if you can't earn an income to pay your rent and your basic necessities, food, water, etc.? What are you going to do? Are you going to just give up? Are you going to just go and sleep in the streets? Or are you going to think of the actual better solutions that really exist? Don't ask me. I had to think. I had to think for myself. I had to go and do the research. So, as I said, I will cover this most probably in some of my next videos, but I'm not the only one here with a brain that can think. So this is just a video to make you aware of the fact that it will be a good idea if you start thinking about how to become self-reliant and self-sufficient. What if the food in the food stores disappear? Do you think that's impossible? Then do a little bit of research into what's coming. Climate change is going to cause global food shortages. If you don't believe me, go and check some of the UN websites and some of the other government websites. Check out what China's government is doing currently. They're hoarding food. They know what's coming. I might sound a little bit, come across a little bit as sarcastic, but yes, that's intentional, because 99% of the human race don't know shit of what's going on this planet. They're just with their sports, their soapies, on their phones all the time, Netflix. Yes. Meanwhile, the universe and the earth and everything else is going on. And if you think that the future next couple of decades, next couple of years, next couple of decades is going to be like it was since you were born up to now, you're gravely mistaken. Okay? I have a science background. I have a huge network online of intellectuals, educated people, scientists who do a lot of good work. So I would seriously advise you to take the time, research self-reliance, self-sufficiency, and start preparing for a future where it will be impossible to get food from the food stores for months and months on end, where the temperatures might be unbearable, where you won't be able to get a job. Yeah, things like that. So I would advise to start preparing. Okay. Yes, I'll aim to cover this in a little bit more detail in next videos, and yeah, see you then.